Hello guys, kindly confirm if you're able to hear me. Am I audible guys? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rajendra. Okay guys, kindly open Spider and meanwhile we'll wait for those to join. Okay, we'll start in 2 minutes, 48 seconds. Okay, so if you have any queries, you can ask me. So before moving towards functions, right? Okay. So basically what we are doing guys is today we are going to learn function and functional programming in modules. Okay, and from next week we are going to move to uh, file operations. We'll be looking to work with different files, and that is where we will be applying all what we have learned, right? And apart from that, we'll also be learning regular expression. Okay, and file operations and regular expressions are the two components that I use a lot if you want to do your task in a better way, or simplify your task, or automate your task, right? Any queries? Can we store more than one value for a single key in dictionary? No, Rajan. Actually, we cannot. Keys are in dictionary. Keys are unique, right? So for one key, you'll get only one value. Okay. Now, if you try to store more than one value for, or you try to duplicate the key, then it's going to replace it basically. Okay. Now, there's one example I'm going to show you for, say, this while, right? Okay, you understand how you can use while. Let's say that you want to create an application which is for password checking. So I'm going to create a variable called password, which is going to be an empty string, right? While, let's say, password is not equal to, say, we want to give password as QWERTY. If we're simply comparing, so we have a condition where password is not equal to QWERTY, right? So we're going to print this is not equal, then what is the password? and we are going to ask for the password from user. Right, we can do that. Input, enter the correct password. Right. Okay, see this. This is a while loop which is going to go on till this condition is satisfied. That password is not equal to QWERTY. Now, in the while, we are running again and again input function, which is going to ask us to enter the correct password. Right. As soon as this condition is broken, you will come out of this loop and you can print the password. Okay. Uh, you have entered right password. Okay. You see this very simple example that you can analyze. Okay. Try it out. Just to refresh your memory regarding while. Okay. Try it out. Okay. See if it hangs, guys. Right. The console part, you simply restart the kernel. Okay. Okay. So this is how you can use while actually. Okay. Try it out. Yes. So basically, Dharmesh, what we are doing is we have created an empty variable, right, which is of string type, right, because we are using what uh, double or single quotes as in value, right, which is basically a string. Now we have a while condition, right? What is a while? While is basically your loop, which is basically based on certain condition. Till that condition is satisfied, this loop goes on running, right? Okay, till this when this condition is not working, right? Okay, so the condition is what? Password is not equal to QWERTY, right? Exclamation and equal to sign creates not equal to. Okay, so this is going to run till this condition is satisfied, till the password is not equal to QWERTY. And meanwhile, what we are doing at simultaneously, we are printing, we are asking a query, or we are printing what is the password, and then again, we are also at the same time asking for an input from the user. Okay, and that value is going to be stored in the variable which is password. Right. So every time we are a user is entering in the wrong password, this conditions is satisfied, and this will be printed. What is the password? Now, as soon as user enters the right password, this conditions no longer gives or is satisfied, and in that scenario, this while loop will be broken, and your program will come out of it and will print this. Okay. So whenever you are analyzing a program, always look for the flow, how your program is flowing, guys. Okay, it's a easy program, as in easy when you understand this, right? Correct. So you don't have to jump to a very complex program. It's like these are like the steps. Okay, you start taking one steps, two steps, and on top of it, you start building it. Now, there are two more things that you should know. One is the usage of in clause. Okay, I'm going to use this. Right, we call it in clause. Okay, now that is simply to know if an element is inside a list or string or not. Right? It's an amazing thing way to check. Say, for example, you have a list. Okay, and if you want to check if some element, a particular element is inside the list or not, then we use this in clause a lot. If 2 in li, yes, 2 is there, so print. Else you can simply print. Okay, so these are small things that we use a lot when we are coding. Now, guys, there's one thing that you might get confusion, right? Okay, and that one thing is indentation, right? Okay, a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of coders, beginners, they don't understand how to handle the indentation. Okay, and that is something that you should be very much aware of, right? Okay, so you can check here. I'm giving you the idea how you can handle it. So normally your indentation or white spaces comes into the picture when you are using this sign, colon. Like now, colon is what basically increases in a way your complexities. You can say like that. Right? So whenever you see a colon, right, whether you're using if, uh, see under what condition you have seen the colon, right? You have seen the colon under if, you have seen it under else, you have seen it under if or elif, right? You have seen it under while. So these are three conditions where we have used colon. Okay, and whenever we use a colon, that indicates that now whatever is going to come after it is going to be the inner block of if, else, elif, or while. Okay, or specifically that will be the structure or the statements that are going to come are going to be part specifically of are of going to be of if, else, elif, or while. Right. Okay. Now, when you write if, you write a condition. Right. Say any condition A is greater than B. Right. Let me write a condition, and after that you write colon. Okay. Now, when you write colon, as soon as you hit enter, right now I'm in the same line, but after colon, when you hit enter, your cursor is shifted by a tab distance, right? Or you can call it four spaces, or when you press your space bar, those four spaces, or a tab button. So I'm going to hit a tab here. Okay, and here you start writing statements, right? Okay, so this is how your Python handles indentation. Okay, whenever it encounters a colon, after that it leaves space of a single tab. Now if you don't leave a space of single tab, then you're going to get an error, right? Indentation error is what you're going to get. Okay, say for example, if here I don't leave a space, right, you can see that it is showing me an indentation error, expected and intended block. Okay, and where it is expected, print yes is there, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to this just before P. I'm going to hit or press the tab button. I'm going to save this and I'm going to try it again. Okay, so it is working. So that is one way you can consider the indentation. So whenever you are going to encounter a colon, next line is going to be a tab distance away from the left. Okay, now second thing is you write if, then you write else. Okay, now if and else are equal, right? So your else does not come under your if. No. Okay, if and else are equal, they come equally, right? Okay, so when you are writing else for an if, then they have to be in the same indentation, right? When I say same indentation, they have to be same, right? If the if is on the left, extreme left, touching the left border, then your else will be also be touching the left border. If your if is a tab distance away from left, then the else associated with this if is also going to be a tab distance away from the left. Okay, so these are the things, guys, that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about or when you're writing a code in Python when indentation comes, when colon comes actually. Okay, we're going to see more of the columns, okay, with functions. Any queries here?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Uh,
have unmuted you, please.
yeah. Hi, Vidhan. Basically, for example, if I'm writing an if and else condition mid of the page, something like that. So from that location,
Okay.
I need to take in a tab space, right? But because I experienced a problem while I am writing in my organization. Yeah.
Okay, can you give me an example as in okay, I'm
For
writing a
example,
code something. Yeah.
if you write in a multiple if conditions or multiple option, multiple
Yeah.
loops, if we are using.
Mm-hmm.
So we are taking an example like in a single one. For example, like in some structured manner, it's like an if condition inside that if we use in a while like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that it's like a if condition I started like in a location of one and while condition I started like in a somewhere around in a 18 or 18 column or something like that. So from
Okay.
18 to I need to maintain tab space, right? Or how it will be.
Okay, let me show you.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you are talking about the rows, not the columns, right? Okay. So we started on say 156 row, right? And instead of else, say we have again if 3 in li print 3 is there, right? Now, if or else associated with this if is going to be like this, right? They're going to be in the same position. So you're talking about how you manage that, right? Okay. So here, every time if I start writing this, see, again, I can have if inside this, if4 in li, right? Now, uh, okay, your else is going to be in the same way as your Okay, take an example of this, for example. Let's say, okay, now this looks a bit complex, but trust me, it's not. Okay, so whenever you see such things where you have inner blocks and again more inner blocks and more inner blocks, just make sure that your structure is holding correctly, right? And when I say that structure, then you have if, and you have condition for if, then you have else. Now your if and else are in the same line, right? They are both on the extreme left of your screen. You can see that touching the left bottom. Okay, now again inside the else we have another if, right? Basically we are creating elif or else, if, elif, else, right? Okay, so in this if, again you have if and condition and then you have statement, right? Now next else is going to be not like this, but like this, right? They both have to be in same line, right? So all the if else pair has to be in same line. Okay, okay, so this is what I think you were talking about. Uh, does sometime the ASCII code encoding of a local system affect indentation? See, only time, Rajin, the ASCII coding is going to impact your indentation if you're copying something from the internet and pasting it on your IDE. At that time, your characters meanings might change. Otherwise, no, it does not impact, because your spaces are handled by your or the white spaces or the indentation is handled by how much space you are leaving, right? And leaving space is not dependent on much on the ASCII. Right? These are your normal four space bar. You're pressing the space bar four times and all those things. Here, Sajid, you see, guys. Whenever you are copying code from internet and pasting it in your Python IDE, a lot of time, actually almost all the time, your meaning of especially the quotation marks changes, right? So you have to delete and write it again, right? Okay, that is kind of a loss in the translation. Copying and pasting is that's why copying and pasting is not promoted in Python a lot, right? Still, if you're copying something from internet and pasting in IDE, then you'll have to do a lot of checking and cleaning of the code. Okay, okay. So this is how it works, guys. Kindly check. Okay, any queries on this? Because a lot of times we actually get confused in this, right? Okay, that okay, a lot of times you might write it like this, which is going to throw you an error, right? Because it's not correct. Okay, so you have to make sure that you are following the structure. Now, see the structure here. I am one tab away from the here, right? Okay, so inner block is going to be like this. Every time, uh, whenever your column comes, next line will be a tab distance away from your original structure, right? Now again, we have one tab away if. Now if again a column has is there, after this again you are now one tab distance away from your this if, right? And it goes on like this. Okay, so just be careful when you're writing this, right? Otherwise everything is fine when it comes to indentation, and it makes your code clean and beautiful, right? These spaces. Now, guys, there's one more thing that you should know before moving toward. Okay, it is going to present. Okay, let's do one thing. 9 is not there. 11 is not there. 22 is not there. Like, let's run this. Okay, there's something showing. Okay, see this. Notice printing 3 is there, which is actually not there, right? So you can write it in as if elif, and that will be far more clear. Okay. F6, 7, 8. Okay. It should print what? NA, not applicable, right? Why? Because all these conditions are not satisfied. Okay, because 6 is not there, 7 is not there, 8 is not there, 9 is not there. Okay. Now this way of writing the code will might confuse you, right? So stick with if elif. Yes, that's why I changed the code, Arjun. Okay, easy it is, guys. So that is what we call in clause. Okay, so Python is not a tough language to learn, right? See, optimization is something which is kind of depends on your style of coding and your experience and your practice. Right? Now, next is what we call a ternary operator. Right. Now, uh, ternary operator is basically what you can call as shorthand writing. Right. Okay. We use it for compact if else writing. Right. If you want to make your if else compact, you use ternary operators. Okay. Let's see. Let's say that a equals to say 20. Right. So what I can do is x equals to 5 if a is greater than 15, else 7. Now I am writing it in a complex format, guys, so that I can get or you can do a little bit of mind exercise on this. Okay, try it out. Now this is your ternary operator. This is how we write it. Now analyze this and tell me what is happening here. It's quite interesting actually. Right? Now, because now we are moving more and more toward using shorthand writing, or as in saving your time and doing your task fast. So this is one thing that is used to do so, right? Okay, let's make it interesting. First of all, analyze this, and then let's make it interesting. What is happening here, guys? So we have if and else. Now, this if and else is very much different than what you have seen till now, right? See, almost not only in Python, almost in all the languages, we have this way of making our life easier, right? Instead of writing all the structure with columns and alls, instead of that, what we are doing is we are completing everything in a single line. Okay, that is what we call ternary operations. Okay. Now, here what we have done here, guys, we have taken the value, initial value of variable a is 20, and then we have put it in if and else. So if a is greater than 15, which is being satisfied, then you are assigning 5 to a variable. Okay. Else you are assigning 7 to that variable, and then you are printing that variable. Okay. Now, to see this in a more simpler format, like what I can do is I can have a equals to int input uh, enter the number. Right, I'm asking a number from the user, right, and then I'm going to print. I'll have an if condition, right? If a is greater than 0. If this condition satisfied, I'm going to print the number is positive. Else, I'm going to print number is negative. See this. Now this is the simpler format, you can say that. Okay, so we are asking a user to enter a value, we are converting it into an integer, and then if the integer value is greater than 0, we are printing this. Else, we are printing this. That means that, okay, guys, always remember this, the syntax is like this only. If condition is satisfied, if your condition is satisfied, then this is what is going to be executed. If else condition is satisfied, then this is what is going to be executed, right? So your structure is always going to be like this only. Let's try it out. -1, number is negative. Only 1, the number is positive. Right, so whenever you face a condition where your if and else are the simpler one, you can do it like this. Or you can compress it further to incorporate it in a single line, if you wish to. Okay. So representation has only changed. Otherwise, we are incorporating all the things here. Okay, see this. So this is how you use ternary operator. Okay? It's quite useful, guys. If we add elif with this, no, we don't add elif with this. Like this is for your simple calculation. Right. So if you have a very simple if and else condition, then you can write it like this. If the things starts getting complex, then no, you cannot follow this way. Okay, if you're looking for the syntax for this, the syntax is going to be like this. Uh, mm, on true, if your expression will come like this, right? Else on false. Okay, so this is, you can see that the syntax. Uh, if okay, let me see a query. Can we have elif under ternary operator? No, no, we cannot have elif under ternary operator. You can only have if else under ternary operator. Okay. Yes, Prashant. I've unmuted you. You have query. Okay. A lot of noise is there. Okay. Okay. Got it, guys. So that is your. I think that ends your if else your uh, break and continue and your while and for loop, right? So these are the things that you normally deal with. Okay, right? No, it almost covers everything. Okay, you can do something. Okay, I think that will be enough as in for this. Now, guys, next thing that we're moving toward is what we call function. Right. So till now we have used a lot of inbuilt functions. Right. Now, what is a function, guys? Anyone? So I'll tell you what we have seen till now, right? In functions perspective, we have seen inbuilt functions. Right? Functions are of two type, inbuilt and user defined or created by us. So inbuilt function that we have seen is input. We have used input, we have used print. I'm going to write the name, right? Input, we have seen print, we have seen type, we have seen uh, apart from that, int, we have seen float, we have seen list, we have seen uh, tuple as a function, right? Any more, guys? ID we have seen, right? So these kind of functions we have seen. Now, these functions, when you use it, yes, sect and dict, set we have seen, dict we have seen, right? There are a lot of inbuilt functions that are there. Now, when we are using these functions, right, when you call input, I simply have to pass a string inside this, right? I don't have to worry about anything else. So functions are basically, I don't know what is happening behind the scene, but all I know is if I pass a string an input function is going to print for me, right? Sorry, not input, for print, say for example. Okay, so what I know is that in this print function, if I pass a string, then it is going to print a string for me. That's it. Now I don't know, and actually till this point I didn't care about what is happening behind the scene, how this function is basically working, right? Okay, so let's see how these functions are basically working. So first of all, function is nothing, it's just a segment of a very big program. Okay, it's a small segment of a big program, as a kind of a segment that you can reuse or you can use again and again according to your needs and necessities. For example, we have used input a lot, we have used print a lot. Right? Similarly, what you can do is you can define a function, you can create your own function which perform a particular activity. Okay, that function could be of 100 lines, 50 lines, 20 lines, and instead of writing that code again and again, what we're going to do is we are going to write something like this, right? Like input or print. Okay, so basically it is hiding all the complexities and we are able to use it. Okay, so functions, you can see that is a segment of a bigger program, and it's a complete program in itself which you can call, and it is majorly there for code reusability and ease of coding. Okay, yes, we are coming to that only, Kuntal. Yes, exactly. In the function are lines of code that we write to do a specific task. They are inbuilt and custom. Yeah. So what we have seen till now is the input function, inbuilt function. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create our own function. Okay. Now normally functions are used for performing a particular task. For example, print is used for printing your value. Input is for getting user input. Type is for finding out the type of the class. Int is for converting into integer. Float for floating, converting into float, right? And so on. Right? They are assigned with a certain task. Okay. Now guys, so these are your inbuilt functions. Next comes your user defined or your custom functions. Now, it means that we are going to create our own function. Now, for creating your own function, you have certain way. Okay. You have a syntax. That syntax start with a keyword called def. Okay. So def is a keyword, guys, when you want to create your own function. After that, you give your function name. Okay. And parenthesis and colon. Now again here you're going to face the colon, right? Colon is because now it tells that whatever you're going to write up regarding function is going to be the inner block, right? And then in this inner block, what are you going to write? All the statements that you want to perform, or function suite you can call it, right? So this is how basically your function looks like. So def is a keyword which is there for creating a function. Right? So function is a block, right? You can see that function is a block. Okay, and this block is what? Is block of a code which is well organized, right? Okay, because everything is neatly organized and you can reuse it. You can use it again and again, right? The function that we are using again and again, which is created by Python itself. Similarly, we can create our own function and we can reuse it as per our requirement. Right? You can perform a single task, or you can perform any repeatable or any relatable action on the basis of this function. Okay, let's create some functions, guys. So I'll suggest you to create a new file here and save it. Name it as functions with an S. Okay, now let's start creating a function. First thing that you write is def as a keyword. I would now name it as my fun. Now guys, while naming the function, see, whenever you name a function, you always start with lowercase, right? You never start with uppercase while naming a function. That is, say that coding standard for this, right? Okay, best coding practice. And after that, if it contains two words, right? My is one word, fun is second word. then the start of the second word or the first letter of the second word is converted into uppercase, and this is what we call camel casing, right? Okay, that means that it's like a camel's back, right, with a hunch. F is acting as a hunch, right, because it's in uppercase. Okay, so you follow camel casing in it if you're using two words. And let's print. This is my first function. Okay, so you have created a very basic, very simple function. Okay, check it out. Now, how you're going to call this? Okay, first create this, understand this. So you have a def. See, whenever you are creating a function, you always have to start with a keyword called def, def, right? And that is how your Python will come to know that. Okay, that okay, you have created a function. Your Python will only come to know if you are starting it with keyword called def. You can see that this keyword def, as soon as you write it here, its color is something blue, right? Some shade of blue. Okay, and then you write the function name, then the parenthesis open and close. Okay, then colon, and after that you have the inner block. Now in parenthesis open and close, inside this comes your arguments or parameters. Okay, we'll discuss that. Yes, exactly, Rajendra. Now you have created this function. How are you going to call this? See, you must have heard about that. Okay, I've created a function. Now there's another thing which is called calling a function or function calling, right? Okay, how are you going to call this function, guys? Simple. See, now do not confuse it, right? First of all, execute this so that your Python comes to know about this. Okay, now Pythons know that okay, there's something called my fun. How do you call this? In the same way that you called your print function or you called your input function, you write that function name with parentheses. Okay, so your function calling remains same, right? See, when I was calling the inbuilt function like print type id int, right, input, I was simply calling it by their name with parentheses open and close. Similar way, the function defined by you or created by you has to be called like that only. Right? Nothing changes. See this? Okay, so this is one of the very basic function that we have created. Right? Now you can see that this parenthesis. See, normally when you are writing print, right? Let's take example print. You're writing like this, and after that you are passing some value inside this, right? And that value were printed. Similarly, you are doing for input function. Okay. Similarly, you are doing it for int. Similarly, you are doing it for float and all those things. So basically, um, inside the parenthesis, when you are passing certain value, then it is called the argument, right? Okay. So what exactly was happening in your input or your print or your int? Right? Let's see that. What is the error you are getting, Ramesh? string object is not callable. No, it's not an issue with ID. Yeah, I don't think so. Do one thing. Okay, you can do like this. Okay, same thing can be done like this. Execute this together and tell me what you're getting. And make sure that your indentation is also right, but indentation issue is not there. So, okay, try it like this. So, guys, basically what is happening? Okay, so we are using what input function, right? Okay, we only are using this, but how does it look like in your Python code? Right? Uh, in Python, it should be like written like this: input. Okay, okay, why is it not writing? Just give me a sec, guys. Okay, in Python, it will be like this. There will be some code related to this, right? Okay. Now, when you pass certain value, right? Let's say that when you're passing certain value and input, say hi, right? Okay. Then this is not the structure that is there actually, right? The structure, which is basically inside your Python, is going to be like this. Okay. So what is going to happen is your hi. See, when you're calling this input with value hi, this hi, which is the parameter or argument, is going to be mapped here, and via this, it is going to be executed inside this inner block of your function, right? So basically, to handle these kind of a input or these kind of a variable, you have to have parameters or arguments inside the function that you're creating also, right? These are what we call arguments of the function. Okay, see an example here. So I don't want this. Say that I want user to create or user to pass the value. Okay, so let me read the query. Uh, okay, okay, Rajen. Okay, now see this function that we have created. We can call it as many times as we want, right? So that you understand, right? This function that we have created. Now we're going to create a function which is going to take a value. So let's say that print it, right? We are going to create our own print function, and we're going to take the value from the user. So let's that I'm calling it p string, right? And I'm simply going to print that p string. Okay. Now see here, guys. What I'm doing is I've created a function whose name is printed, and parentheses open and close. Inside the parentheses, I have created a variable. I've passed a variable. See, whatever I'm passing here is passed inside it. So if I want to pass something inside my function in the inner block, I'll have to pass it here. Okay, understand this. Whatever I want to pass inside the function in the inner block of the function, I'll have to pass it between the parentheses, and this is what we called argument. Okay, argument of a function. Okay. Now how it's going to work? I'm going to execute this, right? And when I'm going to run this, I'll run it like this, print it. Hi, this is Vidhan. Okay, you can see that it got printed. Now, how is it getting printed? Because the value that I have passed inside the function is going to be mapped into p string or pstr, and then this pstr is going to get printed. And this is what is happening here. Okay. Understood this, guys? Any queries? Ask me. Yes, Ramesh, restart your ID once. Normally, you don't get such queries again and again. Might be your no, restart the ID. That is the best bet. Okay, see this? And tell me if you have any issues here. Yes, Sai. Okay. So first of all, see this. Right. Let me clear this. Okay. I'm going to delete this. Now this is what we have. My fun. Now I can call this as many times as I want. Right. And when I'm calling this as many times as I want, it is only printing something which is already defined. Right. There's nothing you can do here. There's nothing if I want to change something, I cannot do anything here, right? Because there is no way. We don't have any variable through which I can change. We don't have any value which I can pass to change, right? Now, if we want to change something in these functions, what you do is, let's say that I'm calling it Vidhan, right? Vidhan is the name of the function. If I want to change something, right, I want to do it here. I'll be doing it here, right? All the changes that I want to do. So for the changes, what I'll do is say I am using that function. I'll be calling that function, and via calling that function, I want to make some changes in the function. So I want to pass some values. So whatever values I'm going to pass is going to be taken up by my function via these variables that I'm passing inside the parenthesis, right? So whatever changes or whatever values I have to pass inside this, say print a or print a into or a to the power 10, like print a minus 100, let's keep it 4. Okay, so whatever I want to do changes inside my function, I'll have to pass it to my function, and this is how you pass the values to the function. Okay, let's see this. Let's execute this, and let's call this function once. So how are you going to call this function, Vidhan? With Vidhan parenthesis. Now Vidhan as a function takes one parameter. Right? Now, if I run it like this, it will say that type error, missing one required argument or parameter. So what I need to do, I need to pass a parameter. Say I pass 3. You see that 3 to the power 4 and 3 minus 100, 9 minus 97. Okay. So basically, whenever you want to pass, see, there are two ways of looking at it. One is from the passing a value to the function, right? So one way is that if I want to pass some value to my function, right, I'll have to have a mechanism to do so, right? And for that, I have to use or I have to pass it as an variable to the argument or as a argument. We call it argument, right? Whatever we are writing inside the parentheses, guys, is what we call argument or parameter, right? Okay, so I have to pass it as an argument, and whatever I'm passing here, sorry, is those things or whatever I'm passing here are the only things which can be executed inside the function, right? Or which can be taken inside the function. Okay. So if I pass A here, then I can take A here. Say if I pass B also here, right? I can pass multiple values with the help of comma. I can have A plus B. I can have plus b, I can have plus b. Right, I'm passing two values now. In my function also, I'll have to make the changes. A is 3, B is 4. I'm passing two values. 3 plus 4, 7. 3 to the power 4 is 81 plus 4, 85, and so on. Okay. Now, do one thing, guys. Try it out. Create a function which takes three values and yes, you should save it somewhere, guys, and perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, try it out. Create a function, guys, which takes three values and perform four operations on these three values. Okay, try it out. Try it out. Okay, I had to change my network. Right, there was some issue in my other network. Okay, so you're getting it, guys? So you have to create a function which takes three values or three arguments and perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And you have to print the results, right? Yes, exactly. Yes, Amish, you got it. Yes, Swati, uh, you got it. So, guys, the point is to you to understand how you can write programs on this. Okay. Yes, guys. So almost all of you got it right, right? So basically, when I say that you have to create a function, right? Let's call it cal, right? You have to create a function which takes three values. That means that it takes three values or three parameters, right? And what it does, it performs addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now you have to print it. So addition will be a plus b plus c. Uh, Subtraction will be a minus b minus c. Right? These are the simple operations. Uh, Print a into b into c, and then your division. Now, how your division is going to work? Okay, that is something that I want you to figure out. Okay, right. So you're going to simply run this. Now, how are you going to call this? cal. You pass the three values: 2, 3, 4. Right. Okay. So you have 9 minus 5. Okay, and 24. Okay, easy, guys. So that is how you understand the functions, right? Now, there are few things which are associated with functions, right? Now, guys, let's say that I want certain output from the function, right? I might be wanting that, right? I might be wanting that. Let's create, okay, let me create another function. Okay, I suggest you to create as many functions as you can. Let's call it new fun. It takes two variables, say a comma b, right? And let's say that it performs certain task. Print a plus b. Okay? That is why what it's doing. Now, this is a function. Okay, new fun. If I want, see, what I want is I want this addition, which is performed by this function, the output of this addition, which is performed by some function. I want to store it in a certain variable. Okay. Now, let's say that whatever we are performing, say 3, 4. This output 7 is what I want to store in a certain variable. How I can do that? Okay. I can do it like this. Let's say that that variable is z. Z equals to new fun 3, 4. Right. So this is how you can do that. But what is going to be returned here? Okay, I can do it like this, or I can place it here. Okay, right. Okay, see this. What we are doing here? So basically, we have a function whose output is a print a plus b. What I want is that I want to create a variable. I want to store the outcome of the function inside the variable c. Okay, does it make sense, guys? First of all, tell me this. Okay, it does not make sense. Okay, okay. Does this make sense? A equals to input enter your number. We have done this, right, guys? Now, what were we doing here? Okay, we had an inbuilt function input where we were passing a certain argument and we were getting the output of this function, and that output was what we were storing in variable called a. Okay, same thing guys is what we want to do with our this function, new function. Forget about a comma b, let's have say a. Now can you relate to it guys, that okay, I've assigned a variable like to the function, okay, and whatever output I'm going to get, that is going to be stored in this variable, or this variable is going to be pointing to that direction. Okay, same like this. Now does it make sense? So basically what I want to do is I want to store the output of this function into a variable, or I want to have a variable who is pointing out to the location where the output of this function is stored, right? In Pythonic way, we can say it like this. Okay, anyone, guys? Is it clear now, Sai? See, we have done this, right? If I call A's value will be 3. Similarly, you have done it for int. They say that b equals to int, and you pass 4. B will be 4. Same you have done for the float. Same you have done for the print, right? Okay, same is what we want to see. We should be able to do everything with our function that we can. And that is the point. Okay, and one of the things that we should be able to do is saving the output, or assigning a variable to the output of the function. Right now, this is the way that you can do it. Right now, if you print z here, okay, instead of doing it here, guys, I'll suggest you trying it on the console itself. That will give you a better clarity. Right, let's say that I have a variable z and a new fun 9. Okay, then what is the output of this? 81. Now if I print z, then the output of z is not coming at 81. The output of z is coming as none, which is no value. Now why am I getting this, guys? Can anybody tell me why the output is none instead of 81? Yes, exactly, Rajendra. Exactly. So this concept is not only in Python, it's in other languages also. Anybody else? Why z's value is not 81, but z's value is null, or null value, or no value? See here, guys. Some things we kind of ignore, or we kind of don't process. We think that okay, these are something which are of high concept. Yes, Prashant. Right. But if you see this function, what this function is doing, it's simply printing. Right, this function is there for printing the value. It's not there for assigning the value, or it's not there returning the value. Right, okay, that's why your z has no value. Right, okay. Now if you want to assign the value, right, to a variable for from a function, then what you do is you always use a term. Instead of using print, I'll be using a term or a word called return. Okay, that is what we have to do. So whenever we are assigning a variable to a function, right, say that you want to perform some calculation and you want output to be used, right, then whatever output or whatever calculations output you want to be using, you have to write it after return. So return is going to give back the value to the user, right, by assigning it to a variable. Okay, now I can do it like this. let me execute this first. Z equals to new fun, say 6. Z will be 216, or you can print Z now. Okay, so a better way of understanding will be this. So you created a function, uh, my fun, which taking a variable, and you're writing return a. Right. So basically, what is happening here? There are two things which is happening here, right? See, it's quite a you can say that useful things, or quite a useful component, your function. One, it has a, right? This is for passing the value inside your function, right? So you write it like this for passing the value inside your function, and you write a return for taking out the value from the function. Always remember this, guys. So if you want to pass the value to a function like this, mm, my fun 9, you can do it. If you want to take the value out of the function, z equals to my fun 9, then you do it like this. Okay, this is for z, and this is for passing the value, right? So there are two aspects to your function, right? So if you write my fun and parenthesis and a, then a is there for passing the value inside your function, right? Okay, and you can perform a lot of operations on this value that you are passing, right? A into, you can cube it, you can square it, you can do a lot of different tasks. Now if you want to get the value out of the function and store it in a variable like z, then you use the return statement or return keyword. Okay, now return, as the name suggests, is again self-explanatory. It is returning you the value. So whatever you write after return is something, or is the value, exact value that you can get out of your function. Okay, any doubt here? Okay, so these are the two things that you have to keep in mind when you are playing with function. Yes, Prashant. Now your function is returning something. If we assign a variable inside function, then will that variable can be used outside of function, or no, if you assign the variable inside the function, Rajin, that becomes a local for that function, right? Scope is limited. Okay, so basically, say if I create a variable here, b equals to 5, right? Then this b can only be used inside the function, not outside the function. Okay, it cannot be unless you make it constant or you make it global. Okay, okay. So this is you can see that your okay. So variables that we create, guys, they could be local and they could be global. Okay. when I say local and global, then you can see that the variable that I've created inside the function can only be used inside the function. I cannot use it outside the function. Right? This is kind of variable is what we call local variable. Okay. Okay. Or its scope is limited. Okay. Now, if the same variable I had created, say here, then that variable would have become my global variable that can be used anywhere in any of the above function also. Okay. So that is what we call scope of a function or scope of a variable basically. Now, if you have a variable and if you want it to be used everywhere, what you write is you simply write global in front of it. Okay, if you want it to be used by everywhere, everybody and everywhere, you simply write global in front of it. But I won't suggest doing this. I actually won't suggest you guys doing this. Okay, instead of this, create variable outside and then start referring it inside. That is a better way. No worries. We'll see those things. Right. Okay. Take an example. Create a new file, guys. I'm creating a new file here. Create a variable a equals to 6, a function, my fun, b equals to 7, print. Hello. Now, can I print b here? Okay, we have to check this. And can I print a here? We have to check these things. Yeah, just a second, guys. Okay, it's taking the previous values. Just a second, guys. Let me restart this. So you can see that I've passed a, I've executed this function. When I print b, it is showing that b is not defined. Now, I cannot use b outside this function. Why? Because this b has a very limited scope. It is created inside the function and it can only be accessed within this. Now, it cannot be accessed outside. Okay. Let's just call my fun, for example. Now you can see that when I'm calling my fun, then it is printing hello for sure. It is printing a also, right? Now a was not defined inside this function. It was defined outside, right? But still I can use a inside the function. Now that is the difference between the variables, guys. A variable is what we call global. That is defined outside and which can be used anywhere inside any structure. B is what we call local variable. Local means that it was defined inside the function and it can only be used inside it. You cannot use it outside the function, okay? Because it has a scope which is inside the function only. It's not outside the function, okay? So very simple concept it is, local and global. See this. Now, if you want it to make global, you simply write global in front of it and then you save it and execute this. might be needing a reference for this. Okay, try it out. Okay, try it out. Uh, you might have to initialize this here actually. Mhm. I'll have to check. Something I'm missing here. Okay, nope, it's not taking it as global. Okay, let me change something here. Okay, let me simplify this. Print set function. We have print. Okay, we might have to call it. Okay, guys, I'll have to explain the concept of main for this. Right? Okay, that I'll explain you with module. We'll come back to this global when we'll talk about module. Okay, for this I'll have to explain the concept of main. No, it should work. Okay. Okay. So the reason. Okay. The reason it was not showing was because we never made the changes, we never allowed changes to occur. We never called the function. Like now, this should probably clear the doubt. Okay. Apart from that, I'll also have to explain you the main. Nope. Anyways, you'll have to initialize it. Okay, try it out. This will give you a clarity of global. So global in this scenario, guys, is not actually increasing the scope. Right? It is only basically letting your function or the variable that you have created inside the function, it is letting that variable make changes to the outside variable actually. Okay, it's not increasing the scope, it's increasing the changes making capabilities of the variable. That's it. Okay, see this. Anyways, let's have a break, and after that we'll start with arguments of a function. We'll understand that, and after that we'll move to the functional programming, or uh, Python. Python's behave as a functional programming, and we'll see lambdas and lambda forms. Okay, and all those same examples. Anyways, let's take a break. Just a break, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, let me check your queries. Yes, Suresh, please tell me what query you have. Okay, guys, any queries you have? Guys, any queries? Okay. Now, the argument that we pass in the function, guys, they could be passed in different ways. Okay. Okay. You can pass arguments to a function for different ways. Okay. Uh, See, we the time. How much duration is being provided or is being told to you regarding this course, Suresh? Can you tell me? Yes, yes. I'm. Anyways, like we had to cut short two lectures by 1 hour each. That is going to increase, and apart from that, 1 or 2 lecture more I'll be taking, right, for showing you a lot of other examples, especially for automation or especially for log files and also. Yeah, it's probably going to go till 12 sessions. So today is 7 sessions, so you can do the math, right? Okay, let me see, Prashant. A equals to 6. Yes, Prashant, because there is an error, syntax error is there. Let me show you. First of all, what you are writing, your my fun will be like this. Okay, that is one of the error. Correct that, and you'll get the answer. Okay, if you talk about what else we are going to cover, let me tell you. Functions is what we are at right now. After that, inside it, we are going to talk about lambda functions. Right, there's different methods or different functions used in functional programming. After that, we're going to talk about modules. Okay, creating a module, how to use module, inbuilt module, external modules. We're going to talk about file operations. Okay, playing with different files. Here we are going to talk about your Excel, uh, your CSV file, right, comma separated values file. Right, we can check PDF also here. Right? After that, we're going to talk about regular expression. Okay, here we are going to see how you can basically scrap few of the things and do a lot of different tasks. No, no, no. Lambda functions are different from AWS Lambda, right? AWS Lambda is your, you can say that serverless application where you don't have to worry about the server, right? Like where you don't have to create an instance or worry about the server. Scaling provisioning is done by Lambda or your AWS. That is the Lambda. That is different. This Lambda function or Lambda forms, I should not be calling it function, is entirely different. Okay, they don't have any of the relation between them. Okay, so regular expression, we are going to cover that, and after that we're going to see a lot of different exercises which will be combining file operations, regular expression, and all those things, right? And those things are going to take around 1 or 2 lecture. Okay, how you can leverage these things. Okay, got it. Suresh, so our task is to perform automation and file operations in a far better way. And here you'll see reading the log files. Right. Say for example, if you have a log files of 1 million entries, you want to take certain data out of it. How you can do it using regular expression, file operations, and all that we have learned. So that course is basically for this purpose only. Right. So we are building toward that for solutions, for creating a solution. Now, when you pass an argument, then argument can be of four types. One is what we call required argument. Okay, second is what we call keyword argument. Third is what we call default, and fourth is what we call variable length argument. So we have basically these four arguments which are there in uh, functions of Python. Right. Let's see them. First one is your required argument. Okay. Let's say that we have something like this: def uh, 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 my info. Right. We're taking the person's name and age. Right? We're taking two values from user. Right? When the user is going to call my info function, it's going to provide two values, name and age. And we're simply going to print name as and we're going to print age as. Right. Okay. Now, if you want to execute this, how are you going to do that? First, you'll have to tell Python that okay, this exists. For this, you have to run this. So Python will come to know that okay, my info is there. Is some function which is there. Now, if I want to do something on this, how am I going to do that? I'm going to write name age, and this is how it's going to print. Okay, because this is how it's going to work, right, guys? Now, uh, if you look at the structure, right? Okay, we have to pass the required number of arguments into this function. If I pass say more than 2, it's going to give me an error. If I pass less than 2, it is going to give me an error, right? So that is basically what we call required argument. That okay, the number of argument that is required in the function is what you have to pass, not less, not more, but exactly the same number, right? Apart from that, these arguments are positional. If I change this position, right? So your Python is not going to do anything. It's just going to print it accordingly. Name is 5, age is Bella, right? So these are what we call required positional arguments. So you have to take care about the position also, that your positions are not wrong, right? Position should be associative, right, or contextual. Okay, so that is your required argument, where you're passing the argument which is required. Next is what we called uh, keyword argument. Right now, keyword argument has only one difference. Right now, instead of passing it like this, I'm passing it like with the keyword age equals to 5. Now, if I print this, sorry, okay, I'll have to pass both as the keyword. Now, here it does not matter if I'm giving the order incorrectly. Age is coming first, name is coming 5. Now, what I'm doing is I'm assigning a keyword to them. Right, age is the keyword. Now, this age is equivalent to this your argument value. So both the keywords are matching. So now your irrespective of the position, your function is printing it correctly because I have associated them with the keywords. Okay, this is what we call keyword argument. Can you check? So your first argument, which was required argument, required you to pass exact number of arguments into the function. Second is your keyword argument. Right? Here we are assigning a keyword to the argument that we are passing so that your mapping becomes easy here. Okay. Now these are the simple things but are quite useful when you are coding. Okay. Try it out. Let me know. How can we use keyword argument if we are taking user input? Um, okay, first of all, tell me where have you taken user input inside a function? Like whenever you have used a function, whenever you have called the function, you have called it like this, something like this, right? You have never taken a user input inside a function till now, Sagar, whether it was an int function or any of a function, right? Okay, now your user's input is not going to be your keyword argument, right? Okay, it will be mostly your required argument if you are talking about taking an input, right? For example, what you're talking about is like this, right? Right, that is what you're talking about, right? Now, this is what we call passing a function inside a function. Okay. Now, tell me, can I do this first of all? See, first thing is the feasibility analysis, right? That is what you do always. Is it feasible? It is correct that we are doing what we are doing here. Okay. So yes, you can do it like this. Okay. Now what you're saying is like this. Just a sec. Yes, both can be done. Okay, I'd never tried this way because never required to try like this. Right? But still, yeah, you can try it. So basically we are passing a function inside a function here. That is what we're doing. Okay, so you have keyword argument. After that you have default argument. Now your default argument is actually very simple. We are assigning a default value here. Say age equals to 100. Right now, if I'm going to change the name, like information. I'll give the complete name. Right. Okay. Otherwise, it will clash. Two functions cannot have same name. Okay. Okay. What I did here, guys, I wrote my I and then I press tab button, and by tab it gave me a hint or autocomplete. It gave me options, so I chose the second option. Okay, now here I'm going to pass what? If I only pass say Tintin, right? So that is only one argument that I'm passing, right? What is going to do? It is going to take by default or the default value of the second argument, right? So that is what we call default argument. In this scenario, in this scenario, I pass only one argument, that is the name, and second argument, it took the default value that we had provided. If we had changed that default value, if I provided our own value, then it would have overridden the default value. Okay, so that is your default argument. Done? Okay, I'm just waiting for your responses, guys. Okay, done, guys? Understood? Now, last one is what we called variable length argument. Now, variable length argument is quite interesting. See, the concept is that you should be able to solve all the possible issues, right? Okay, so we were able to solve, okay, the fixed amount of argument. Yeah, that is something that we have to give. Second was keyword argument. If I want to give a keyword to the argument, I can do that, right? Age equals to 5, name equals to Vidhan, something like this. Last and thirdly, your default argument where you are providing a default value. So even if you don't provide the second value, by default it's going to take age as 100, right? Okay, and lastly is variable length argument, right? For that, I'll have to introduce a new variable like this. Okay, and I'm going to change the name. Let's call it. I'll call it my or only info. I'm going to call it only info. Okay, print. Now, guys, basically what I have done here. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this. I've introduced a variable which is pointing towards an empty tuple. Okay, now this is something interesting. Asterisk sign in Python, and after that a variable name, is basically pointing toward a variable. Okay, or pointing toward an empty tuple. Right. So how is it going to work? Okay, let's see. If first of all I'll have to execute this so that Python knows that okay it exists. After that, info, say name is Max, age is something like this, and whatever value of coming after it, how many value coming after it, what is going to happen? You can see that basically first value is mapped to name, right? Second value is mapped to age, and remaining values are taken up by this variable, which is pointing toward asterisk is basically the pointing toward an empty tuple, right? So everything else is stored in a tuple. Okay. Okay. See this and tell me if you have any doubt here. Yes, Suresh, that is what I'm going to ask you actually. Right? That is a query for you. Now, what you have to do is after this, try it out, Suresh, is find out the sum of the values of this tuple and assign it to a variable, right? As in, I should be able to use it as a function, right? Outside the function. Okay, try it out. So basically, the variable that you have, right, this tuple, you have to find out the sum of the values of this tuple, and you have to do it in the function itself, guys, right? Not outside the function. And after that, you need to, okay, this end will come after this. You need to assign it to a variable outside the function, right? Like z equals to my fun, right? The same way. Okay, try it out. Comma is coming after the variable value. Yes, this comma, right, Kuntal? Yes. Okay, try it out. See, here you're using your list or tuples performance and summation for that. What did we lose for summation, guys? Use, not lose, for summation. For loop, right? So you're using a for loop inside the function, and you'll have to use a return also for the value. Return the value as a sum. You understood the query, guys? Now, here we are combining the previous learnings. Okay. Um, Okay, Dharmesh, let me check what you have written. Variable, print some variable. Okay, you can do that. Yes, you can do that, but we have not talked about sum. Right? Don't use inbuilt function sum, right? Because you don't know that. And apart from that, the output of this Dharmesh has to be assigned or has to be taken out. So it should come under return, not under print. Okay, guys, try it out. Take 2 minutes. Right. See, you should, if you're not able to try it out, no worries. You should be able to understand the concept, how to proceed or how to attack this. Right? That is what I'm interested more in. See this? Okay. So basically, we have to combine what we have learned, right? So we use sum equals to 0. That was for initializing it. And we already have a tuple, right? For I in var, right? Sum equals to sum plus I, right? And you have to print sum, right? Something like this. Okay, you're getting it, guys. So you can do things like this inside your function. That's normal. Okay, instead of print, I should be doing a return. But let it be. So I don't want this for now. I don't want this for now. I don't want this for now. Like whatever value I'm getting, okay, we can see. At least we're asking, we can print it. Right. No worries. That will give you a better clarity. Okay, now let's execute this. Okay, see this. So basically, we are simply printing it, nothing else. Now, ideally, what I wanted was that you should be able to use this value, right? Then only it makes sense. So instead of printing, if I wanted to use this value, what I would have written, I've written return, right? That is what I would have written like this. And then I could have done like this, um, info. Okay, and I can execute this and simply print z 3268. See this, guys. How to get length? See, you have a function called len. To get the length of a tuple, you use a function called len. Var is not defined here, but this is what you use, len. Okay. To get the index, you have a function called index. Okay. You can use these functions. There are two functions, len and index. Okay. Something like this. You see that length is showing 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You got the length. You do it like this. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this so that you can have a look. Okay, one more query, guys, that you should have thought about is see that right now this function is only returning me one value. What if I wanted to have more than one value? Right? Now that is something that you should be thinking about, right? Okay, what if I wanted to have more than one value? Say I have a function is get o, something like this. It's just a name, right? I'm passing a comma b comma c, a comma b. Okay, and I simply want to return a plus b, a into b, a minus b, a divided by b. Right? Okay, you can do something like this, right? Okay, so I have a function which is taking two values but returning four values, and these four values are nothing. These are operations. So I can write it like this, or if you want to do it in a more cleaner way, you can have it like this. It's totally up to you. Don't use sum, right? Summation. Okay, sum is a keyword. Let's see that these three operations. Okay, you can write like this. Right now, all these values are getting returned. Now, what I want, so that is a query for you guys, right? Okay, what I want is I want to get only summation from this, or I want to have a variable who will be assigned only the summation version of this. How am I going to do that, guys? Tell me. Creating my query that okay, uh, this is the function and these are the outcome that I can use further in my programming, and I only want to use say multiplication and division or summation and multiplication. So how I can do that? Okay, double asterisk sign, Suresh, that you are talking about basically refers to dictionary here. Okay. Okay, after returning sum, how do you use it? See, we are using it like this. You got the sum, you assign it to Kuntal, you assign it to a variable z, which will be taking value of this sum, and then further you can use it any way you want to in your programming. It's up to you. Nope. Try it out, Rajendra. Do it practically, guys. Take 1 minute, take 2 minutes, 10:25, right? Okay. See, we have learned this unpacking of a list. We have learned this, right? Unpacking of a tuple. Right? That concept applies here also. Okay. See this. Z equals to this is what you're saying, right? See, 5 plus 5. Okay, let's have 5 comma 5. Okay. Now, what is going to return me? So if I simply print Z, what should I be getting, guys? So basically, it is returning me a tuple. Okay. So this is how your tuples are used in Python a lot, right, guys? So your tuple, we use it in variable length argument. Your tuple is the outcome here also in return, right? So what you should be doing is, if you want the three values, I'll have A, comma B, comma C. That is what I should be doing. Print A, print B, print C. Okay, let me run this and then you'll understand this. Now, guys, what is happening is this get O function is returning you three values or three outcomes, right? So you can individually assign these three outcomes as three variables, A, comma B, comma C, and then all these three, A will be assigned, summa will be assigned to A, mult will be assigned to B, and div will be assigned to C. Okay, so basically this is how you work with the return value that you get from your Python. Check this out. So there are so many small things which are very difficult to cover in the stipulated time frame that we have. Right? But these are the important parts that I had to tell you. Right. So one more thing that is being asked. Right. Okay. Let me give one more example that will solve one of the query of one of you guys. Right. See, we have created a function like this. Let's say fun two, or let's call it fun one. Right, where we only using a variable length argument. Right. Let's say, for example, and we can print that. Right. Okay. That is something that we have done. Now here I'm showing you as a standalone program. Right. So what it is returning here, you can see that the output is one single tuple. Right. That is one of the way. Okay. You understand this, guys? First, check this out. First, check if you are able to grasp this or not. So this asterisk sign and this variable basically assigns you or points toward a tuple, an empty tuple, and whatever is coming in our function will be assigned to this empty tuple and will be stored in this empty tuple. Now, similar to this, guys, we also have a concept where instead of single this asterisk, we use double asterisks. Okay, we also have a concept where we use double asterisk, and these are used in case we want our value or the value that is provided to the function are key value pair. Right? These are basically indication of your dictionary. Again, you don't have to go too much deep into this because you won't be needing it. Right? But still, so you can have max one, bella two. Right? For example, like this. This is like I'll have to pass max one, bella two. Sorry, not like this. Um, okay, keyword can't be an expression, so I'll have to use it the other way around. Thump, thump, thump. Just a sec, guys. So we had initiated this. So yeah, this is working. Right, now, basically what we do here, guys, is we pass the values to it, right? And I think we use a certain way for it. Just let me confirm, right? Okay. First, there's a special way of doing it. As far as I remember, mid, and then I can have. I think I have last. Yeah. See this. Okay, you might not need it, you might not use it, and you certainly don't have to remember this. But this is how you call it. It will give you you have fixed way first, mid, last, right? And then it is converted into a dictionary. See, the output is a dictionary, right, with key value pair. Okay, see this, guys. Okay. Now you can perform the all the dictionary operation looping through the dictionary the same way that we did previously. Okay. So you might find it a bit confusing, and I also find it a bit confusing because the arguments that has been passed here has a different way, right, which is not normal, right, but still, you'll remember it with the practice. You don't have to keep on remembering it. You simply write it down somewhere and refer it when it requires. Okay, so these are the ways in which you pass the argument to a function. Good, guys. Okay, check these two out. Okay, I am going to copy and paste this so that you can try it out. You can combine all of them actually. Right? You can combine asterisk arg with double asterisk var, and you can do the task. Right? Or even you can try one more thing, which I would like you to try. Okay, guys, do one thing. Create a function. Okay, let me create a problem statement for you. Create a function which takes input as key value and print values from that. So you only have to print the values from that. Okay. Can you do it? Try it out. So you have to create a function which takes input as key values, and then you have to only print the values out of these key values. Try it out. So that will combine your knowledge of this. Okay. Try it out. See, the approach matters, end result does not, right? So see if you are approaching it correctly or not. You can take the same example, you simply have to loop through it. Yes, Sajin, I think you have got it correctly. Yeah, it will work. So guys, you might have to go back and see the loops, right? Okay, so this is how it's going to work. For I in var print, right. This is one way. But another way is for key, comma, values in var dot items print values, right? So these are the two ways in which you can basically print. Simple. So that is why we call Python a very simple language, right? You can do a lot of things with a very minimal line of code. Okay. The rest you can further perform the addition and all those things operation as you move on, right? Okay. Now complexity you can increase as you move forward, right? Okay. So if I wanted to increase the complexities, what I would have asked you to do is to sum the values or these values, right? I think that won't be that complex, but yeah, you can do it. something like this. Okay, so like this, you can do something like this also. The reason I have taken a string here is because all my values are string, so it will do a concatenation, right? Addition will be the concatenation for string, right? Okay, so these are the kind of things, small things that you can try it out, right? Okay, and these small things helps you a lot in building your uh, logical concept or translating your logics into the programming. Okay, you'll get confidence by doing these small things. Okay, so that is all about arguments of a function. Any query you have, guys, you can ask me. Next concept, guys, is what we called functional nature of Python, right? Or functional programming behavior of a Python. So Python is predominantly your object-oriented programming language, right? Where you consider everything as an object in the world, and then you start doing things, right? You create object, and then you start manipulating everything that you get with the help of the object and the classes, right? Now, before object-oriented programming, we used to work, and we still used to work with functional programming, where you don't have a concept of object at all, right? So you only deal with functions, functions like these functions, right? You deal with functions. So that kind of a programming where you only use function, not object at all, is what we call functional programming. So Python also shows functional programming behavior, right? And one of the best example is what we call recursion. Can you give us some lengthy and witsy or wistry challenges on the basis up to what we covered till now? Yes, yes, I can give you some challenges on the basis of this. Twisty, okay. Yep, we can do that. Okay. That is what I'm going to give you tomorrow morning at the end of the session, right? Okay. So that you can apply what you have learned till now on all of these. Okay. So that is your functional programming, guys. Now, one of the best example is recursion. Any idea about what is recursion, guys? Recursion. Recursion is the word that we use for this. Means defining something in its own, you can say that, term. Right. Defining something in its own terms is what we called recursion, or calling itself multiple time. Okay. In Python's perspective, or any programming language perspective, right? We can call it as function calling itself. So function calling itself again and again to do a certain task, especially the looping task. See, when you talk about loops, then in functional programming, your loops is achieved by recursion, right? Okay. Okay. Take a task. Yes, getting some functionality repeatedly, right? Do you know what is Fibonacci series, guys? Okay, let's talk about factorial. Okay, first, let's see a simple example. Do you know what is factorial? If I write 5 exclamation mark, what does it mean? Yes, it means 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Right? That is what your factorial stands for. If I write 7 factorial, that will be 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. 0 is not included, right? So that is what your factorial look like. So I'll show you a simple program of calculating a factorial, right? Okay, using recursion, right? Okay. Now you can try it out using not using recursion. Okay, take it as a homework. You'll find this a lot on the internet, but still I want you to try it. Find out the factorial of any number. Let's say n using Python, right? That is what you have to do. Okay, I'll show you with the help of recursion. So basically, recursion is an example of your functional nature of the Python, right? So let's call it fact, right? This is a function which takes any value n. So first, understand the factorial. You understood this, right? So when I find the factorial of 1, it is 1. When I find the factorial of 0, it is also 1, right? So for any value which is less than or equal to 1, the factorial is always 1. Okay, so that is one of the condition. If n is less than equal to 1, what is going to happen? It's going to return always 1. So if I want to find out the factorial of 1 or 0 or -1 or -2, the output is always going to be 1. Else, now else is something which is basically interesting, right? Here, what we're going to do, we are simply going to return what? N, the number into f fact uh, n minus 1. Now, this is what is interesting, right? Okay, first let's try it out, then we'll try to understand this. Factor of 5 will be what? 120, right? Okay, you're getting it. Factor of 4 is what? Will be 24. Factor of 10 will be what? A lot. Now, guys, see, the reason I'm showing you this example is to understand how languages work, right? Okay, tell me how this is going to work or how this is working actually. Okay, understand this, guys. This is one of the perspective that you should understand or know. So the point is, guys, whenever you analyze a program, how do you do that? Now, when I'm calling this function, what I'm calling fact, say 5. Okay. Now, how this program is going to flow? Okay, guys, see this carefully. Your fact 5 will be defined here. Your fact is mapped. Your n will be 5, right? So 5 n's value is 5. So your Python will go inside this and see is n less than equal to 1. Nope, it is not. Then it will go to else. And inside the else, it is going to perform this operation. Now, how is this operation going to be performed? Try to analyze it by yourself once, then I'll explain it to you. So basically here we are explaining a concept which is function calling itself, right? Okay, so we can repeat uh, an action with different values. Okay, that is what we're doing here. uh Rajin, I'm okay. In a way you're right. Okay, let me explain you guys what is happening here. So right now n is 5, so 5 into n minus 1 fact 4, right? Fact 4. Now n is 4. Okay, see this here. Fact 5, right? Okay, now your fact 5 will be mapped here. N is not less than equal to 1, so return will be not 1, it will go to else will be what? 5 into fact 4, right? Okay, now fact 4 will be calculated. 4 is not less than 1, so it will go to else. Now it will become what? 4 into fact 3, since it is n minus 1. Right, now again n or 3 is not equal to or less than 1. It will go here. It will be 3 into fact 2. Similarly, 2 into fact 1. Now fact 1 is actually n is less than equal to 1. This condition satisfies, so your this value becomes 1, right? Okay, that means that the value of uh, fact 2 becomes this, value of fact 3, okay, sorry, fact 2 becomes this, value of fact 3 becomes this, value of fact 4 becomes this, and this is how you are getting answer as 120. Understood, guys? Got it? So it's quite easy, right? You have simply have to break it down. Okay, so when you are dealing with any of a language, guys, you should know how the code is flowing. In this case, when I called fact 5, so that will be mapped here. This will be 5, and you'll see that if it's not satisfied, so it will go to else. And again in else, your function, that is fact, is calling itself again and again several times, right? So when a function calls itself several times, that is basically what we call recursion in a way, right? Now recursion is quite useful, is quite helpful when you are trying to do a complex task and you want to break it into a simpler part, then it works. But again, since you're calling same function again and again, it consumes a lot of resources, guys. It actually is quite a, you can say that, heavy task, right? Resource consuming task. Say for example, do one thing, find out the factorial of 2000. Okay, you got it. Find out factorial of 3000, say for example. You'll see that your Python starts throwing you an error. Like Python has thrown me an error. What it is saying, maximum recursion depth exceeded in comparison. So Python is saying that, look, you're using recursion and it consumes a lot of memory, and I cannot do this calculation because it's going to consume hell lot of memory. Like that is what Python is saying right now. Okay, so recursion is good if the task is small. If the task is big, you should not be relying on recursion. Okay, so that is your recursion, guys. Now you can change the limit also, guys. Right. Okay, you can change the limit also, as in how much recursion you can allow. Uh, okay, I'll show you with module, right? Because you'll have to import something here. But yeah, you can change the limit also, as in how much recursion depth you want to be allowed here. Okay, so that is recursion for you guys. Any queries here? Kindly ask me. So tomorrow we are going to see lambda, right? Lambda function, lambda expression, right? Which is quite interesting, right? I'll give you a brief about what lambda is. Is it language specific? The recursion depth you're talking about, Suresh, or something else? Yes, yes, it is language. See, it is language specific. It depends on your processing capability, 32-bit, 64-bit. It depends on the version of Python you're using. Like Python 2.7 will have different, 3.7 will have different, 3.8, which will come in some time, will have different. Right. So it depends on the version. It depends on the processing capabilities. That is your bit. Right. There are a lot of factors involved here. In Java, I'm not sure, Suresh. I will have to try and calculate in Java. Okay. What is the depth in Java? I'm not sure about that. See, you are looking from the perspective of memory consumption, right? That is why you're asking, I think. Okay, so next, see, this is your recursion. I am giving a title as recursion. Okay, you can try it the same task out without the recursion. I want you to try it out without recursion, right? Find out the factorial of a number using Python. That's it. And you don't have to use recursion. Take it as a homework. Okay. You can use loop, you can use if else, whatever you want to use. Um, okay, you're talking about difference between uh, KWRGS and difference between ARGS. That is what you're asking, right, Ajay? It's just a name difference, and that is actually no difference at all. But Python is not going to care. No, no, it's not like that. Python sets limit according to your computer's memory and according to your computer's capabilities. So that is not correct that Python does not care about the memory in this case. If it wouldn't have cared about the memory, Suresh, then in that case we would have got as many factorial as we want, and that would have consumed a lot of memory. Okay, Kuntal, let me check. Okay, you don't understand that. Okay, I'll explain you that. Okay, so Rajen, so these are just different variable names. See, asterisk is basically pointing toward a tuple. Double asterisk points toward a dictionary, right? Now, whatever name you want to give, you can give any name you want. I can give Vidhan as a name. You can give Rajendra as a name. It's up to you. These are just variable names. Okay? Okay, Kuntal, let me explain you. Okay, so Kuntal has this query. Okay, anybody who did not understand this, kindly concentrate here. And guys, please do ask me, like Kuntal and others, that okay, if you have some confusion. Okay, so basically what we are doing here, Kuntal, this whatever value we provide, first of all, it has to be provided in a certain manner. After we have provided this, it is going to save those values in a dictionary, right? Let's call print var. Okay, let's keep it aside for now. Okay, let's simply call this. And Kunal, I suggest you to use camel casing for this. Okay, you can have first equals to 1, mid equals to 2. I think the last equals to 3. So see here, Kuntal. Basically, what we are getting here is an output. You are getting a dictionary. Okay, you're getting a dictionary. Now, how do you loop through a dictionary? You loop through anything like this, not only dictionary, but anything like this. So I can loop through like this and I can print I. What is it going to print for me? Let's check. It's going to print me only the keys, first, mid, and last. If you want it to print you the values, then you'll have to call the values. And values can be called like this. With the keys, you can fetch the values. This is something that we have done when we loop through the dictionary. See here. Um, okay. Okay, I'm going to comment this so that you don't get confused. Right? Let's loop through this. Okay, you can see that 1, 2, 3. Now we are printing only the values, not the keys. Right, so that is kind of an indexing that we did in a list and tuple. In indexing in dictionary is being done with the help of its keys. So when you pass keys as an index to a dictionary, you get the values, right? That is what we are doing here. Simple. Okay. Oh yes, I'll explain you the lambda concept tomorrow, and we'll work on lambda and try it out recursion, or sorry, finding a factorial of a number without recursion, right? And see how many lines of difference is going to be. Args is not a keyword, Kuntal. Suresh, sorry. Keywords arg, once again, is it possible to pass keyword? You can pass it any name that you want, basically. Right? I can pass this name as uh, Vidhan. Right? It's just a variable name, nothing else. And it won't make any difference. Right? Your variable name could be anything, right? Okay. So basically, these are your variable names. Keyword arg? No, nothing like that. Nothing like that, Suresh. You don't have to. See, I have not. See, I've used arg here, right? You can change it. I can change it to anything you want. See, whatever we are passing, okay guys, Suresh, understand this, whatever you are passing in the argument of a function, whatever I'm passing in the argument of a function, these are your normal variables, nothing else. And you can name it any ways you want. KWAGRF is somebody else's defined way of passing the variable, okay? Arg and KWArg that you're talking about, it's more of a bookish way of defining the variables. Their way of standard way of defining the variables. You'll find a lot of examples on the internet using arg or KWA arg. But it's up to you, whatever variable name you want to pass, to be honest. It should be contextual, right? As in, it should be in line with what you're doing. Okay. Say you're taking the phone book data. So in that case here, say if I'm taking the phone book data, in that case, it will be phone book, right? So it's contextual. Understood, Suresh? So this is not a keyword. See, keywords, Suresh, whenever you encounter a keyword, they will change the color, right? Into blue. Your def is a keyword, for is a keyword, in is a keyword, right? So a keyword changes the color. You can see that if I write arg here, which I have written here, it's not a keyword. It does not change the value. Show me an example with keyword and arg in the same function. You have that example. Your def is a keyword which is there, and your arg is not a keyword. You want to use args? Okay, you can use args here, for example. Let's use args. Again, it's a variable name. You can keep it as any as you want, right? It's up to you. Okay. Not keyword, key parameter. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. I think I am not getting your query, Suresh. So I'm going to unmute you so that we can have a conversation. Okay. Yes, Suresh, please tell me.
Yeah, Vidhan, I am asking about different, you said different types of parameters, passing the parameters.
Yes.
Yeah, that is specified arguments. Uh,
Keyword, default,
yeah, yeah. One of those is
variable
a
length.
keyword parameter. Is it right?
Yeah. Yes, that was
Yeah.
the first one.
Second one. I am asking about second one.
Yes, that is your. Uh, yeah, keyword is the second one. Required is the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, could you explain me more about keyword argument along with a variable that is double star args?
Normally, we don't combine keyword argument and variable length argument, to be honest, right? Because they have different purposes, right? Okay.
No, can we pass those different arguments in the same function?
Okay, you're saying that okay, you want to pass these arguments as keywords, right? Okay, we can try
Yeah,
it out. I never tried that because no condition required me to do so. Okay, let's see that. Let's call it max. Okay, you want to check that it takes a name, right, and value as say a tuple. Okay, that is what you're saying, right?
yeah,
Okay, let's print um, uh, uh, name and print. Now, tell me one thing. What is going to print here? Are you going to print args or are you going to print value here?
I don't
Says me.
know. I don't know.
See, first of all, it actually beats the purpose of what we are doing. And secondly, your arguments, you can pass two arguments, right? But here are two unknown entities here. Here we are passing three unknown entities. Your Python does not know what this is. Your Python knows this, but here you cannot pass a variable as a value to another variable, right?
Okay,
So your
okay.
Python is not going to understand this, right? So either you'll have to pass a string or float or any of a data type. In fact, you can pass a data structure also here, but not an unknown variable. Because now you are assigning unknown variable to again unknown variable. So your Python is not going to take that. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Vedant.
Okay. Welcome. Any other query, guys? Okay then, guys. That will be all. Tomorrow we'll continue from here. We'll work with lambdas. Signing off now, guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.